Kira blocked 16 and stepped inside the 17th. Her blades rested at his throat before the echo of his last strike faded. The hall froze. She stepped back, lowering her swords. Good match, instructor. Vos-Kareem stood motionless, scales flashing through shock, disbelief, wounded pride. How? He whispered. Humans have been dual-wielding for thousands of years, Kira said. It's not impossible. It's just difficult. And humans were good with difficult. She wrapped her swords and returned to her seat as if nothing extraordinary had happened. But the rest of the galaxy had just shifted. Tesh'Maruk stared at her, recording tendrils twitching with excitement. A rule older than civilizations had been shattered. A truth carved in stone had been broken. And all it took was one human, 2 swords, and 3 quiet words. Define can't. The Academy felt different the morning after Kira's duel. Whispers moved like currents through the corridors, passing from alien to alien with a mix of disbelief and unwilling fascination. Rules didn't break at the Galactic Combat Academy. Traditions didn't bend. Doctrine never changed. Yet, one human with 2 blades had done something none of them had even imagined. For a place that claimed to have seen everything, the Academy suddenly felt like it had seen nothing at all. Kira walked down the hall with the quiet ease of someone who didn't care about stairs, only purpose. She kept her shoulders relaxed, her grip light on the strap of her duffel, but her eyes were alert, taking in everything, analyzing, cataloging. Humans had a talent for pretending to be calm while preparing for war. Tesh'Maruk watched her from the balcony above, recording tendrils humming with excitement. He had documented great warriors, legendary tacticians, an entire species rising and falling. But there was something different about Kira Vasquez, something sharper, something dangerous, something that refused to fit inside the neat boxes the galaxy had built. She stepped into Training Hall 7, the same place where she had shattered a universal truth. The hall was empty for now, quiet except for the hum of the lights and the faint vibration of energy barriers. Kira set her bag down, stretched her shoulders, and withdrew both training blades. She didn't start with attacks. She began with breath, a slow inhale, a steady exhale. Then the movements began, smooth at first, almost meditative. 2 blades weaving patterns that looked too synchronized for any normal creature to pull off. Every swing carried purpose. Every shift of her weight was calculated. She moved like she wasn't practicing, but remembering something older than the Academy itself. Tesh watched from above, unable to look away. He had reviewed her duel a dozen times already, analyzing every frame. He wasn't sure what unsettled him more, the precision of her motions or the calm in her expression while performing them. The silence broke with a loud slam. The hall doors crashed open, so violently the metal frame bent inward. 3 cadets strode in, Dravik, Ken, Lexus Thorn, and Alara Venerable, not a random trio. Not friendly. Dravik towered like a walking boulder, fists like meteorites. Lexus moved with stiff, coiled aggression, all 4 of his bladed arms twitching with anticipation. Alara stepped lightly, mandibles flexing, her speed infamous across the Academy. Kira did not sheath her swords. She simply turned her head and observed them. You're the human, Dravik said, voice like gravel grinding. The one who humiliated Instructor Vos-Kareem. I demonstrated a technique, Kira replied. Nothing more. Lexus hissed. You made him look weak, which makes us look weak. We don't allow that. Kira sighed softly. I don't want to fight you. You won't have a choice, Dravik rumbled, stepping forward. The attack came fast, faster than most cadets could follow. Dravik charged straight at her, swinging a fist heavy enough to break stone. Lexus flanked her left, for blades slicing down in a cascade of steel. Alara blurred right, her form flickering with speed. For a breath, Kira stood still. Then she moved. She dropped into a slide so low Dravik's punch sailed past her head and shattered the wall instead. As she passed, her sword snapped outward, one strike to each of his knee joints, controlled and precise. Dravik crashed down roaring. Lexus was on her immediately, for arms spiraling in coordinated slashes. Kira's blades met each strike, sparks dancing with each clash. Parry, redirect, slip past. She used his upper left blade as a pivot point, turning his own momentum against him. "You telegraph too much," she murmured. "Fix your shoulders." Then Alara hit her from the side like a bolt of lightning. Kira slid across the floor, gasping, ribs flaring with pain, but her swords never left her hands. "Better," she coughed, pushing to her feet. But predictable. Alara lunged again, speed turning her limbs into blurs. But Kira met her this time. Her blades carved arcs through the air, intersecting Alara's attacks perfectly, forcing the Siluran to break her rhythm or lose a limb. Lexus rejoined, and Dravik staggered up, fury burning in his eyes. They boxed her in. 3 elite cadets. 3 angles. No escape. "You cannot win," Dravik snarled. Kira cracked a grin. "Humans are persistence hunters," she said. "We don't stop, and we don't scare." She launched forward. Her right blade intercepted Lexus, while her left sword caught Alara mid-strike. She pivoted backward deliberately, drawing them in. Dravik charged, shouting. Kira dropped flat at the last second. Dravik barreled into Lexus, sending the four-armed cadet flying across the room. Alara tripped over Kira's low sweep and slammed into the wall with a shriek. Kira rolled to her feet, chest heaving. "I did warn you." Dravik roared and rushed again, blinded by anger. This time, Kira didn't dodge. She angled her blades, hooked his momentum, and redirected him into the floor. The impact shook dust from the beams above. She stayed standing, battered but composed. "Stop." The word thundered through the hall like a shockwave. Instructor Vos Kareem stood at the doorway, scales dark and unreadable. The entire hall froze. "All of you," he said. "With me? Now." The walk to the disciplinary chamber felt heavier than armor. Inside, 3 instructors and the medical officer waited. Tesh slipped in behind them, recorder glowing. The footage replayed on a massive screen, attack angles, timestamps, every detail. The verdict was obvious. Thalis, the senior conduct mentor, turned to the attackers. "You violated Academy's safety protocol. You instigated unsanctioned combat. Under normal circumstances, this would result in immediate expulsion." Dravik opened his mouth to argue, but she continued. However, Cadet Vasquez showed restraint, avoided lethal strikes, and prevented serious harm. Her defensive actions were justified. The 3 attackers stared, stunned. Combat Master Jarek leaned forward, eyes fixed on Kira. "Your movements were refined. Your control absolute. Cadet Vasquez, how long have you trained with dual blades?" 18 years, she answered. "Since childhood." Jarek exhaled slowly. "Longer than some instructors here." The attackers were sanctioned. Kira received commendation. Then Vos Kareem stepped closer. The hall quieted. "Cadet Vasquez," he said softly, "I owe you an apology." Kira blinked. The walls seemed to hold their breath. "I taught absolutes," Vos continued. "You taught possibilities. That is the mark of a warrior." Kira nodded. Apology accepted. As the others filed out, Tesh approached her carefully. "That was 3 opponents at once," he said. "You could have been seriously injured." Kira touched her ribs, wincing. "Oh, I definitely am. But humans have another saying, fortune favors the bold. And if it hadn't favored you today," she smiled, dangerous, confident, tired, "then I would have adapted. Humans always do." Tesh recorded that smile, realizing the truth with a shiver. The duel didn't change the galaxy. The girl standing in front of him did. And the galaxy had no idea what was coming next. The aftermath of Kira's rise spread far beyond the academy walls. It began as whispers between cadets, then quiet discussions among instructors, then heated debates in high command chambers across 3 star systems. Dual wielding had been considered impossible for thousands of years. Now a single human had not only done it, she had done it against the Academy's most respected instructor and survived a 3-on-1 ambush without crossing a single lethal line. For a galaxy ruled by certainty, certainty suddenly felt fragile. Kira didn't chase the attention. She avoided the crowded mess hall, skipped unnecessary gatherings, and trained alone each morning in Hall 7. But every day, more eyes watched her from the shadows. Curious, cautious, sometimes fearful. Some cadets hoped she would teach them. Others wished she'd disappear, so the galaxy could revert to what it understood. But Kira didn't seem to care. She practiced because she needed to, because movement kept her grounded, because silence was the only place she could breathe. Combat Master Jarek sought her out often now, observing in silence before asking questions that felt more like challenges. Why the angle on your offhand blade? Why that counter? Why not a retreat? Kira answered each with the quiet certainty of someone raised by discipline, not ego. But on the 7th day after her disciplinary hearing, Jarek asked a question she didn't expect. How would you teach this to someone who isn't human? Kira paused mid-strike, lowering her blades. Dual-wielding takes human instincts, human neurology. You can't just copy it. Everything can be taught, Jarek replied, if the student is willing. She studied him, really studied him. Jarek was old by academy standards, his scales dulled, joints stiff from old battles, but his eyes burned with curiosity, the kind that made civilizations expand. She sheathed her swords. Teaching isn't about handing someone a skill. It's about shaping their mind first. Jarek nodded, then shaped mine. Tesh watched from the balcony, recorder glowing. He knew what this meant. If a non-human learned dual-wielding, even at a basic level, the galaxy wouldn't be able to dismiss Kira's prowess as a human anomaly. It would prove something bigger, that what was impossible wasn't biological. It was cultural. Kira spent the afternoon explaining concepts that didn't exist in galactic combat terminology, micro-timing, sequential overlap, dynamic dominance switching, proprioceptive dual mapping. Jarek grasped the theory, but stumbled in practice. His offhand twitched out of sync. His weight shifted wrong. His stance collapsed. "You're thinking too much," Kira said, circling him. Dual-wielding isn't two weapons. It's one system, one rhythm, one intention split across two paths. "That makes no sense," Jarek growled. "I know. Try again." But before they could continue, the academy alarm blared, a deep resonant tone that shook the floor. Tesh froze. That's not a drill. Lights shifted to amber. Instructors sprinted down hallways. Cadets rushed to assigned stations. Kira watched them scatter, then turned to Jarek. "What's happening?" Before he could answer, the intercom roared to life. "Attention, all personnel. Unknown vessels approaching from the Rimward Expanse. Shields to full. Combat teams prepare for immediate deployment." Jarek's face hardened. "Kira, come with me." They ran through the corridors, passing panicked cadets and instructors barking commands. At tactical command, holograms projected 3 unidentified ships edging toward the Academy's orbit. Their configuration didn't match any known faction. "They're ignoring hails," an officer reported. "Weapons charged." The room went still. Jarek stepped forward. "Activate defense grid." Too late. Another officer stammered. "They're firing." The academy shook. Panels sparked. Lights flickered. Tesh barely kept his recorder from falling. Kira felt the floor tremble beneath her boots, and for the first time since arriving at the academy, she sensed something truly dangerous. "These ships aren't random raiders," Jarek muttered. "Their aim is too precise." The second volley hit. A beam tore through the outer training rings, ripping apart structures where cadets had been sparring minutes earlier. Screams echoed through communications channels. Kira's jaw tightened. "Who is attacking?" she asked. Jarek responded with a grim whisper. "The Mercurial Clade, a rogue war faction. They target places that challenge tradition. They believe any disruption to galactic order is a threat." Kira understood immediately. Dual-wielding wasn't just a combat technique. It was a symbol of defiance. A broken rule in a galaxy built on rules. And someone out there wanted to crush it before it spread. "Send me out," Kira said, tightening her grip on her swords. Jarek stared at her. "You're a cadet. I'm a fighter. And right now, you need every blade you have." Another beam hit, closer this time. The command room shuddered. Tesh yelled, "We don't have time, she's right." Jarek cursed. "Fine. You're with me." Minutes later, Kira sprinted across the hangar deck. boarding a rapid deployment shuttle with Jarek and a squad of elite Academy defenders. Outside the hangar doors, explosions flickered like dying stars. When the shuttle launched, G-forces slammed Kira back in her seat, but she never looked away from the viewport. The mercurial ships loomed ahead, sharp and jagged like predators carved from obsidian. "Target the lead vessel's weapon array," Jarek ordered. "If we disable it, the others might retreat." But before the gunners could lock on, the lead ship deployed boarding pods, 3 of them, hurtling straight toward the Academy. Jarek swore. "They're not aiming for the infrastructure. They're aiming for the instructors." "Because you teach change," Kira said, "and change terrifies them." The shuttle banked hard, intercepting one pod mid-flight. Its hull crumpled under the blast, but 2 pods slipped through, embedding themselves into the Academy's hull. "We're going back," Jarek ordered. "We defend from inside." The shuttle swung around. Kira was already unbuckling. When they landed, she leaped out, blades in hand, sprinting toward the breach point before anyone could stop her. The Academy corridors were chaos, collapsing beams, smoke, alarms, terrified cadets. But ahead, Kira heard the clash of metal and alien war cries. She reached the breach. 10 mercurial warriors stood inside, armored in living metal. Their weapons pulsed with crimson energy. One hissed, voice distorted, "The skill you reveal dies here, human." Kira raised both swords. Her stance tightened. Her breath steadied. "Come kill it, then." They charged. Kira moved. Dual blades flashed like mirrored lightning. Her footwork cut through their formation. She parried energy blades, redirected plasma strikes, slid between armored giants, carving lines of motion they couldn't read, couldn't predict, couldn't survive. 1, 2, 4, 6. Her blade sang, her body burned, but she didn't stop. Behind her, Academy defenders finally arrived, staring in shock at the destruction she had already wrought. Jarek whispered, "By the stars!" When the last mercurial warrior fell, Kira staggered, panting, dripping sweat and smoke. She had saved the Academy, but more importantly, she had shown the galaxy something new. Humans didn't break rules. Humans shattered them. And once shattered, they never came back the same. The impossible was no longer impossible. It was human.